Alasiri njema mpenzi mtazamaji, ni fahari yangu kuungana nawe kwenye taarifa za Mbiu ya KTN. Jina langu ni Frida Mwaka. Tukiangazia taarifa yetu kuu hii leo ni kwamba katibu mkuu wa chama cha Jubilee Rafael Tuju amezungumza na wanahabari mchana wa leo na kukashifu kitendo cha hapo jana ambapo naibu wa rais William Ruto aliongoza mkutano katika ofisi za chama hicho akiwa na wabunge wanaomuunga mkono. Sasa imedhihirika kwamba ufa umeanza kujitokeza chamani humo, mirengo miwili ya tangatanga na kieleweke ikizidi kuonyesheana vidole vya lawama. Kikubwa ni kwamba Rais Uhuru Kenyatta na naibu wake wanaonekana kuvuta ngoma pande tofauti licha ya kuwa katika serikali moja.
The deputy party leader, as a self-declared presidential candidate of 2022, will not be allowed to use the party headquarters as a center of operationalization of his 2022 campaign and to use the center for intimidation of potential opponents or intimidation of the staff. It is no longer tenable for the deputy president to use the party platform, including statements from the party headquarters, to advance his divisive so-called hustler politics that are counter to the party and the president's platform of uniting the country, fighting against corruption, and the agenda 4 items. The party constitution has not given the deputy president or the deputy party leader any specific role of organizing party grassroots elections in collaboration with the MPs he has selected and senators, as emerged from the press conference yesterday addressed by MPs and senators allied to him. The NMC has recommended to the NEC that the DP ceases to be deputy party leader after he opened the so-called Jubilee Asili offices that is reserved for him and his allies until such a time that this development of Jubilee Asili will be discussed at the NEC.
Kwingineko, kiongozi wa chama cha Kenya Karua mchana wa leo alizungumza na KTN News kuhusu swala la kulivunja bunge, akishauri kuwa upo muhimu wa kuzingatia masuala ya muda wa kutenda jambo na sababu za kufanya hivyo. Alikuwa na haya ya kusema.
Parliament must go home as advised, and the president must dissolve. It is true that the dissolution will cause a crisis, but it is a crisis precipitated by Parliament. They had all the time. They had warnings by the court. They had orders telling them, do your duty. They failed to discharge their duty. They demonstrated impunity and arrogance. And I believe that the dissolution or sending home of an entire institution is going to help this country not only respect the rule of law, but respect our supreme law, and that is the Constitution. It's also emphasizing that unlike before, Parliament is no longer supreme. The Constitution is supreme, and the people have the power via the Constitution to send those who do not follow the Constitution and the rule of law home. And this is the first and most emphatic example. And really, as Kenyans who want to see this country progress, we must all lend our voices to send Parliament home as dictated by the Constitution. We shall handle whatever other crisis, and I don't see any. This will be a special election of an institution called Parliament, courtesy of Article 261, and it will not affect those other elections. And it may give us an opportunity to separate the parliamentary elections with the presidential and county elections.
Muungano wa wanafunzi wa vyuo vikuu nchini KUSO umeitaka serikali kuboresha miundo misingi kwenye vyuo vikuu na taasisi nyingine za elimu ya juu kabla ya kufunguliwa. Kwenye kikao na wanahabari, viongozi wa muungano huo aidha walimtaka waziri wa elimu Profesa George Magoha kuzingatia kauli na ushauri wa wadau wengine, kwani kuendelea kuwapuuza washikadau ni hatari kwa sababu ya mustakabali wa elimu nchini.
Now, as Kenya University Student Organization, we would like to emphasize that the Minister of Education, Professor Magoha, the reason as to why he is so much having a lot of inconsistencies in whatever he is doing is simply because he doesn't consult. He is not consulting students. He is not consulting anyone. He is becoming like a dictator. And you see, this pandemic, we cannot handle it, all of us, without really consulting all the stakeholders. So as students, we call upon the professor to ensure he comes down to those students. You cannot dictate how students should be governed without consulting them. We want the Ministry of Education to ensure the institutional capacity in universities, TTCs, TVETs, and they should ensure that there is adherence to 1.5 meters social distancing rule. Number two, we want the ministry to provide financial assistance to these institutions to enable them employ more lecturers and tutorial fellows so as to maintain the lecturer-students ratio within COVID-19 protocols. Number three, the government should provide free, satisfied, standard nose masks and hand sanitizers for students. Number four, the Ministry of Education should provide technological assistance to the institutions in order to ensure more access to e-libraries and less paper interactions in teaching. Number five, the ministry should give reasonable notice to resumption of classes of students, the other years of study to avoid ambushing learners, their parents, and even universities.
Na mtazamaji, watu milioni 266 wanakadiriwa kutumia dawa za kulevya kote duniani mwaka 2018, hii ikiwa ni 30% zaidi na ilivyokuwa mwaka 2009. Ripoti ya shirika la Umoja wa Mataifa kuhusu dawa za kulevya na uhalifu UNODC inaonyesha kuwa watu milioni 35